Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast show. We are your hosts for today's show. I am Alisa Sharina, and for today's show, I will let you all in on a very hot case that was known to be the biggest cash haul in Malaysian history at the time, which is the case Sabah State Water Department corruption and money laundering. So, I'll be telling you all in detail about the introduction of the case and the key issues. Stay tuned!
Hello everybody, yes, you heard her right. We are your hosts for tonight's show. My name is Arti, and as you have all heard her, she'll go through the introductions and key issues, what I will tell you about the analysis and evaluation, and lastly, recommendations. So stay tuned, fellow watchers. We'll be back after this short break and get on with the case.
Alright, everybody, welcome back. So, I'm going to be talking about the introduction, which is the summary of the case. So, the federal government have sent billions of ringgits to Sabah for water supply and infrastructure projects, especially to help the rural areas. So, there are two top officials, the director and deputy director of the Sabah State Water Department. They were in charge of handling those funds. So, instead of using the money fully for the projects, they took a big part of it for themselves. They did this by giving projects to contractors but then demanding bribes or kickbacks in return, marking up projects' costs so the extra money could be pocketed. Over time, the officials collected hundreds of millions of ringgit this way. When the MACC carried out a raid in October 2016, they found around 114 million in cash, which is kept in houses, offices, safes, and even stuffed into cupboards. Luxury cars, expensive watches, jewelry, and properties worth millions are confiscated. And they also found bank accounts under family members and associates' names with large balances. All right, everybody, welcome back to the second part, which is key issues. So, first of all, this is the process of money laundering. So, the first process is called placement. So, basically, what placement is getting the dirty money into the system. So, how did they did this in this case? The officials received bribes and took money directly from project funds. Some of this cash was hidden in offices, safes, and homes. MACC literally found piles of cash in cupboards, and other parts were deposited into bank accounts under their own or family member's name. This is the stage where stolen money first moves from hand to hand, bribes into the financial system or storage. So, second of all, it's layering, which is hiding the money trail. So, once the money was in the system, it didn't stay in one account. It was moved across multiple accounts, sometimes under family members or proxies' names.
Welcome back, listeners. Glad to have you with us again. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Law, Lies, and Money, where we dive into the stories behind corruption, crime, and cash. So let's pick up where we left off. The Sabah State Water Department money laundering scandal was judged by the court under several laws and acts in Malaysia. The legal framework used by the authorities, mainly the MAC and the courts, which includes the following Act. So, number one, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009, which is known as MAC Act 2009. So this is used for corruption charges like accepting bribes, abuse of power, and more. There are two relevant sections in this act, which are Section 17, Paragraph A, and Section 23, Subsection 1. So Section 17, Paragraph A means the offence of requesting or accepting bribes, while Section 23, Subsection 1 means the offence of misusing one's office or position for personal gain. Other than that, this act was mainly used to investigate kickbacks and contract manipulation. For example, a government official responsible for approving water infrastructure projects accepts a 500,000 ringgit bribe from a contractor to secure a tender. So this act falls under Section 17, Paragraph A for
Welcome back to Law, Lies, and Money. The story doesn't end here, guys. In fact, this is where it gets even more interesting. Let's continue following the recommendation on how to prevent such crime to happen. The Sabah State Water Department scandal revealed weaknesses in governances, procurement, and financial management. To overcome these issues and improve Malaysia's anti-corruption framework, the following recommendations are proposed. One of the key reforms needed is strengthening public procurement and tendering. This can start with the introduction of a dedicated Public Procurement Act to regulate all procurement activities through a centralized and transparent system. Alongside this, an open tender system should be made the default for major projects, with all contract details published in a public database for accountability. To further ensure integrity, mandatory audits by the Auditor General and the MAC should be required for large-scale projects, especially those valued at over 500 million ringgit. Another reform is improving financial management and oversight. This can be done through enhanced audits, where ministries that handle large sums of monies are subjected not only to regular checks but also to surprise audits. At the same time, public officials who manage funds or overseas procurement should be required to declare their assets, and that includes the assets of their close family members to avoid hidden conflicts of interest. Finally, enforcing job rotations for officers in sensitive areas like procurement and finance is crucial because it prevents individuals from building corrupt networks over time. The third reform focuses on enhancing our legal and institutional framework. A key part of this is strengthening the Whistleblower Protection Act so that anyone who comes forward with evidence of corruption is guaranteed full confidentiality and immunity. Without strong protection, people will always be afraid to speak up. At the same time, independence of the MAC must be reinforced. Instead of being tied to the executive, its leadership should be appointed by a parliamentary